You know that feeling when you see a project with the absolute best intentions just completely fall apart? Well, it's usually not about the plan, or the money, or even how hard people worked. Nope, it's often about something you can't even see, a kind of hidden cultural code. And if you ignore it, you can doom even the best ideas. So, let's get into it.
Okay, let's start with a story. Meet John. He shows up in a rural community in Africa with this amazing goal: bring clean drinking water to everyone. He saw a real need, he had the passion, he was ready to make a huge difference. I mean, it's a simple, practical plan, right? Comes from a good place.
And John's approach was super logical, very efficient, and probably sounds really familiar to a lot of us. He checks off the boxes: figure out the problem, get the cash, tell everybody about the great new plan, and then ask for volunteers. From his point of view, he's being totally transparent and effective. So what could possibly go wrong?
Well, this. The whole thing just collapsed. People stopped showing up, the money dried up, and that half-dug well, that symbol of all his good intentions, it literally became a health hazard, a breeding ground for mosquitoes, a total disaster.
So, that's the big question we're going to unpack here. John's heart was in the right place. His plan seemed totally sound, but he missed a critical piece of the puzzle. So, what was it?
The answer is hidden in these invisible rules of respect. See, John failed because he had no idea how the local power structure actually worked. He just jumped in without learning the local playbook for how you show honor and get people on your side.
And the first concept we got to talk about is something called power distance. It's basically a way to understand how different cultures look at hierarchy. You know, is power spread out pretty evenly, or is there a really steep pyramid with clear lines of authority?
And this is where it gets really interesting. In what are called high orality cultures, like the village John was in, that hierarchy is steep. The elders hold the authority. You absolutely have to go through them. But John, he came from a low orality culture, where things are a lot flatter. To him, calling a big public meeting seemed like the right, inclusive thing to do. But in reality, he completely blew past the actual recognized leaders.
And this connects directly to the next big idea: ascribed versus achieved status. It really all boils down to a simple question. How does someone get respect in the first place? Is it something they're just given, or is it something they have to earn?
So, with ascribed status, respect is kind of automatic. It's based on things like your age or your family. In an oral society, the oldest person is like a living encyclopedia. They've seen it all, so their status is just a given. John, though, was operating on achieved status. He thought his expertise, his knowledge about wells, was the most important thing. But in that village, his degrees meant nothing without the blessing of the elders.
And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? John might have all the right information, all the facts about building wells, but he wasn't the right person to be saying it. Without the elders' authority backing him up, his words just had no weight. They couldn't inspire anyone to act.
Okay, so this isn't just a story about a faraway village. These same invisible rules are at play right now, all around us, and it's all because of technology. The way we communicate is completely changing the way we show respect. The famous thinker Marshall McLuhan said it perfectly: the medium is the message. What he meant is that the tool we use to communicate, whether it's a text, an email, or a face-to-face chat, it isn't neutral. It actually shapes the conversation itself. It changes what we say, how we say it, and who gets to speak. And let's be honest, today, that medium is almost always digital. Our smartphones, social media, email, these aren't just faster ways to talk. They're building whole new social worlds, and in the process, they're shaking up the old ones. So what does that disruption look like? Well, for starters, digital tech can really weaken those face-to-face norms that are so important in many cultures. It can challenge the authority of elders because suddenly younger people become the new gatekeepers of information. And in the rush for speed, it can just wipe away all the subtle stuff, the nonverbal cues that are so key to showing respect.
John's story was pretty clear-cut, right? It just failed. But today, the situation is usually a lot more complicated. It's more like a constant negotiation between the old and the new. Let's look at a more modern example.
This is Samuel. He's been trained in all the modern, Western ways of doing things, but he works in a community with really deep traditional roots. He's trying to put together an outreach program, and he finds himself stuck right in the middle of this huge cultural shift.
And here's his problem. You've got the elders on one side. They value slow, patient, in-person conversations to build trust. And frankly, they feel like their authority is slipping away. Then you've got the youth.
They're fluent in smartphones and social media. They're the new information hubs, the new gatekeepers. They've got tons of energy, but their methods are totally unsettling the traditional way of doing things.
So Samuel is caught. Does he go for the efficiency of a WhatsApp group and risk alienating the elders? Or does he take the slow, traditional path of meeting face-to-face and risk losing the momentum and excitement of the younger generation? As you can see, there are no easy answers here. Samuel's dilemma isn't really just his. It's a reflection of the challenges we are all facing in our own communities, which are more diverse and more digital than ever. And that leads us to some really important questions that we should all be asking ourselves.
First one, who holds the authority in our world today? Think about it. Is it traditional leaders or is it the new digital influencers? How has this shift changed the way we make decisions and, more importantly, how we build trust?
Let's go back to John's well. How might our own use of technology, that quick email we send, that social media post, be accidentally undermining important relationships even when we think we're doing something good?
In a world that's all about speed and efficiency, what's the power in just slowing down? What if things like silence, or really truly listening, or just being physically present? What if those are the things that can help us rebuild the trust that sometimes gets lost online?
And if you're a leader of any kind, a manager, a teacher, a parent, what's your responsibility when you're dealing with different generations and different cultures all in the same space? How do you handle all these competing ideas of what respect even looks like?
And finally, this is the big one. This is Samuel's challenge, and it's our challenge too. How do we build bridges? How can we create new ways of working together that honor the wisdom of tradition, but also tap into the amazing energy and skills of a new generation? Answering that, well, that's the real question for our connected future.